Okay. All right. What a wonderful way to start the day with impact. We want to express our gratitude to everyone for joining our inaugural impact event last weekend and attending today's Impact Thursday event. I'm Abby Cruz Ramos. I'm a Binibini Pilipinas 2007 runner up, a model, a beauty queen, an events host, a personal development coach, a licensed financial advisor, and your host for today. It is our great honor to welcome you on behalf of the Giving for Good International team. We are so excited to announce our second annual Giving for Good auction under the theme Healing Our Home, Our Shared Calling, kicked off last Sunday, July 17th, and will cap off on July 31st. Women's Federation for World Peace International Signature Project, Giving for Good, aims to conserve the earth and all life by funding sustainability initiatives and empowering each of us to take ownership over healing the planet, our home, through circular fashion. Today's Impact Thursday event focuses on one of WFWFPI's advocacies, circular fashion. So, to get things started, let's watch the Stories of Impact video.
Women's Federation for World Peace, with the partnership of Giving for Good International, initiated the project of global climatic social action of the Amazon River. This project is an initiative to bring solutions and use clean and potable water for families in the riverside communities by acquiring water filter to purify the water before consumption.
So part of the bags was made from the recycled fabric which we collected from our guests and contacts, and part of them was made with a bought fabric. And here are the examples of our bags.
Hello, greetings from Burkina Faso. We moved our project to just plantation of trees to plantation of fruit trees. We introduced about 7 different kinds of fruits like mangoes, papaya, oranges, lemon, and guavas. About 7 different kinds of fruits.
My excitement is all about thinking of our future generation, how we have to act better for them to live in a healthy environment, and also gaining experience by interacting with other people, having their conception of how we can make our environment look better. I thank Women Federation International and Giving for Good International for their investment and for their care in helping us to take responsibility for the well-being of our environment.
A total of 1,000 students were sensitized on the circular economy, waste management, the SDGs, and the importance of keeping a healthy environment, as well as how they can ensure responsible consumption and production within their school compounds and homes. They produced various objects using recyclable materials in their environment.
Many families still have electricity problems in the village. 2. Our project has enabled many families to have solar lamps in many villages.
This is the area. It's so nice. These men are working, men and women, helping us to plant the trees.
Good day, everyone. I am Christine Rose Balayo, the co-project coordinator for the Permaculture Literacy Program here in the Philippines. So as you can see, I am surrounded by this very beautiful nature because we are here at the project location in Muntisunting, Carmen, Bohol, Philippines. The solution that we come up with is the Permaculture Literacy Project with the following goals. First is food security, health and well being of the family, and the regenerative healing of the planet through the practice of permaculture. Also, to mobilize critical mass of young people and families to advocate for holistic well being of people and ecosystem restoration, and to raise 40 peace loving environmental stewards and permaculture teachers. Successful and inspiring aspect of the project would be the heartfelt testimonies of our participants.
So very excited to know more about permaculture literacy because I think this is the concrete solution of our problems or environmental issues nowadays.
All right. Now, before we move forward with our event, of course, I would like to introduce the International Vice President, Chief Administrative Officer, and Director of the WFWPI Office for UN Relations in New York. Kindly all give her a warm welcome, Ms. Merly Berlan.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you, Abby. Wow, I feel wonderful and beautiful today, despite of the heat wave here in the East Coast. But I really feel like I'm surrounded with beauty queens and fashion designers and talking about um, mitigating the climate change that is upon us. So, well, I'd like to introduce just a little bit about Women's Federation and the work that we do. Um, Women's Federation is an NGO in general consultative status with the UN, United Nations, and we were founded in 1992 by Dr. Sun Myung Moon and Dr. Hak Jahan Moon. We have chapters in 114 countries worldwide. And Giving for Good was added to our signature project, the environmental project, in 2020. And last year, when we first had our Giving for Good fundraiser through the auction, and with this, it gave birth to 12 projects in 11 countries, climate action projects. We were funding climate action projects. You pretty much have seen the in the video, but just very quickly, I'd like to explain very quickly a little bit of every country projects that we have. Next, please. So the Albania, we have Reduce, Reuse, Recycle campaign. Let me get my eyeglasses. Sorry about that. So in Albania, our chapter, they use the manufactured and sold handmade tote bags made with donated clothing, and they hosted a speech contest and the theme "Save the Environment, Save the Future." And yeah, they presented on the harmful effects of plastic and the necessity to recycle. And then they went to schools and promote awareness. In Brazil, we had a clean water for families in the Amazon. And, you know, although the families in the Amazon, around the Amazon River, they're surrounded by water, but that water is not drinkable. And so what we did was provide them 200 clay water filters. And so, yeah, that's our Brazil project. And in Burkina Faso, we had environmental awareness and call to action. Um, Burkina Faso is one of the driest countries in West Africa, and it becomes extremely hot due to the lack of vegetation. So our young people, they, including the young people and the elder generations and the local officials, um, they organize a committee and to do the tree planting, and in order to add more vegetation there and promote awareness for the community. And for Cameroon, we also have awareness to environmental action. Um, Although raising environmental awareness is not easy, according to Tong Il, our young leader there, our young volunteer, he's thinking of the future generation acting better to help them live in a healthier environment. Because in Cameroon, waste management is still it's still not a thing for them, so they really need to increase their awareness. Next, please. And in Ghana, we had a school mobilization for responsible consumption and production. The project aims to educate the future leaders of the world of the importance of a responsible consumption and production. And they have gone to schools and talked to the more than 1,000 students in Accra across the 7 schools, and they engage in hands-on workshop and promoting arts as a way of recycling and creating awareness for waste management and upcycling. In Mali, let's improve the life and health of families with solar lights. WFWP project volunteers visited and educated 16 villages where nearly 2,000 people learned about solar lamps and a greener alternative to light. And so 150 families benefited from that. And in Paraguay, we had the Cubierta Roga. It's a tire house project. It's The volunteers have worked together to paint used tires that they throw away on the roadside and everywhere, and put them together and use them as planters in the parks. And it also keeps away the mosquitoes and other insects away. And in South Africa, Limpopo, we had the cloth nappy green project. The volunteers, mothers, and children gathered to kickstart the Cloth Nappy project to produce reusable cotton diapers, which are much more cost efficient and environmentally friendly than the single-use diapers. And then they worked together with local leaders, and these diapers were designed, sold, and distributed. And in addition, it created money-making opportunities for employing and teaching local women to make the cloth nappies themselves. Next. So, and another project in South Africa, in Soweto, giving the gift of lights. So it's another solar lamp project, and 130 families benefited from it. And yeah, even after dark, usually before that, they couldn't do anything much after dark, but with their solar lights, children can study and women can be more productive even at night. Next, in Zambia, combating deforestation by tree planting. So, in Chipata, eastern province of Zambia, there are many areas barren and deforested. So, in Zambia, the Zambia project selected deforested areas need to revive the land together with WFWP volunteers. Next. And so last is the Philippine permaculture. You've seen it earlier, so I think I don't need to introduce more. Is there no? Okay, so last is Kenya. It's another solar lamp projects. Yep, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Wow. What a great initiative, Miss Merle. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So now let's move on to our topic. But before that, of course, I would like to introduce our wonderful panelists. You know, this is such a wonderful event, and I'm just so grateful to be hosting it and to just be with every empowered woman here in this Zoom meeting. I'm just so thrilled. Actually, can I just say that? All right. Um, okay, so of course, for our topic tonight, well, this morning, we have a lot of things to discuss, and, the challenges and solutions regarding circular design and fashion. But of course, before that, I would like to introduce our guests. Okay, starting off with, of course, Charlene. Yes, Charlene is our 2022 GFG auction and accounting manager. She's a certified public accountant by profession and a former senior auditor at SGB and Company, EY Philippines. So last May 2022, she was conferred a master's degree in accounting with distinction from California State University in Los Angeles. And also she was inducted into the Honor Society of Phi Kappa Phi, USA's oldest and most selective all-discipline collegiate honor society. She's also a member of the UN Interagency Network on Youth Development's Working Group on Youth and Gender Equality. And also she served as the regional director of Hull Prize Philippines from 2018 to 2019 and president of World Merit Philippines from 2017 to 2018. She has committed herself to the youth empowerment, helping young people align their ambitions with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. She's part of the founding class of World Merit 360 New York and Unleash Innovation Lab, Denmark. So her passion for global goals comes from wanting to act as a synergy for constructing global partnerships that elevate women and youth potential around the world. In June 2017, she was lauded as the Agent of the Week, given only to exceptional members of the World Merit community who have demonstrated talent, drive, resilience, and outstanding merits. She has represented the World Merit community in various official UN events and side events organized by the Permanent Mission of Georgia and Permanent Mission of Romania, to name a few. Kindly give her a warm round of applause, Ms. Charlene Bornea. Okay, next we have, of course, our next guest. Yes, so Rio of Rio Tasa Clothing. She is a fiercely Filipina sustainable brand that repurposes scraps into new textiles and creates one-of-one designs, as seen on British Vogue in January 2022. Let us all welcome Rio S2R. All right, so our next panelist, Jessie. Yes, Jessie Jiang is the founder of Basically Borrowed, a Manila-based community and content platform focused on fashion sustainability. In her previous career, Jessie has worked as a journalist for Time magazine, where she covered everything from politics to the internet economy in China. More recently, she has spent 5 years in business development leadership roles across Southeast Asia. Jessie holds a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Peking University, as well as an MBA from INSEAD. Please welcome Jessie Jiang. All right, of course. We do have Kalai. Kalai is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Economics from the University of Santo Tomas. From there, she tried to pursue law school, specifically environmental law. But her true passion has always been in fashion design. She switched courses and went to the Fashion Institute of the Philippines, where she took up a minor in fashion. From 2011 to 2018, she worked as a fashion designer and a fashion entrepreneur. Now, she's currently a fashion designer for the local brand Plains and Prince and a product developer for kids clothing Silly Dally. Kindly give her a warm welcome, Kalai Aguilar. All right. Wow. I'm so privileged and so honored to introduce the wonderful panelists. And I do hope that everybody's so excited for our discussion. All right. So, okay. So let's start with my question. What are your challenges in your chosen field right now? You know what? I just feel free to share because this is just an open discussion about your thoughts, ideas, and experiences. What are your challenges that you have experienced in the circular design and fashion? I'm sure a lot of you are very much passionate in practicing these circular design and fashion. So whoever wants to start can just start. Don't be shy.
Okay, I guess I'll start.
Okay.
For me, I work in corporate retail fashion. So there are a lot of challenges when it comes to circular fashion because the cost is so high just to just to to use recycled textile. I think it's because the technology to recycle the textile isn't really readily available for the market yet. So the cost of making the recycled textiles are very, very high. So that's the number one problem and obstacle that I have or we have in retail fashion to be able to help our environment and also to be able to sustain the business in fashion. It's hard to balance when the technology for us to create designs using sustainable materials is not available to us. So it drives the cost really, really high. But there are a lot of brands who are trying to find the balance between the cost and sustainability. So that's the number one obstacle for us.
Wow. That's really the number one thing that is really it's an important issue, right, Kalay?
It's a very important issue.
Yeah, it's very important. I wanted to add to that. I really, I highly agree with Kalai. It's because obviously each country has different priorities and opportunities to grow. Like for example, for developing countries, mostly obviously the focus is in poverty reduction. So that's why in terms of sustainability practices, adopting sustainability practices is something that is taken in the back end, because we have to think about how we can feed our people, and we can discuss these matters maybe in the next years to come, but not now. So but thing is, you know we have a deadline, to you know to think about, and if we don't act, that means that we're running out of time and we're already delayed. Because if that's the case, then we're gonna be at the end of 2030 and we're gonna experience these heat waves and all the other effects that Mother Earth is, Mother is already having a fever right now. So what else can we expect, if we don't act, if we don't do anything about it? So that's why, personally, because obviously if you think my profession, I'm a CPA, I'm in the accounting profession, but why am I here? Because I care about Mother Earth. I care about the people who are living in the Amazon area. So I feel that everyone should be involved. It's not about your profession, it's not about where you are, where you come from, you have money, or you have everything in your life, but is how you truly and deeply understand the urgency of the matter. And that's why we have a lot of activists involved, at the UN, at the NGO level, at the like the local level. So if we continue this discussion, then we can make everyone understand the urgency of what we are currently taking on. And we're already experiencing all these high temperatures. So yeah.
Thanks for that, Cha. How about Rio?
Hi. Wow, that was a lot, but that was also very real. And we are all experiencing it, definitely. And it's something that I'm super happy to be here because of this conversation. And I hope that after this, everyone still continues to talk about it because we have to talk about it. Um, I am a small time slow fashion designer in the Philippines. So I work with creating new textiles from fabric waste. And it is hard. It takes about, it's hard because I don't have yards of fabric to work with. And I chose to do this because there is a lot of fabric waste with the current, fashion industry. And with that said, I guess like the challenges that I personally face with Rio Tasso would be number one, of course, the burning question of why is there so much fabric waste? It is always something that stresses me out, and which is why I do what I do. Instead of buying rolls of fabric, I choose to create my own from fabric waste, and it takes 10 times more work. But there is a lot of material, and why use up new material when there is current material that we can use to create new things. And yeah, so that's the struggle, is that it is difficult, but I am here and I am taking it as a challenge because I do love fashion, and this is the way that I can still continue to do what I love, but without sacrificing fabric waste, adding to the current waste that already exists in our world. So yeah.
Thanks for that, Rio. Thanks for sharing. How about Jessie?
Sorry, just unmuting myself. Hi everyone. So I guess my experience is a little bit different from everybody else's, because I'm not a fashion designer and I don't have a fashion brand, and we're not selling fashion products. So we are a content platform first and foremost, and our goal is to help our community to, I guess, live more sustainably, starting from fashion. So I think the main challenge that we're facing is kind of the lack of information around sustainability, around sustainable fashion among the general public. Because I think everybody knows, they want to be sustainable, right? They want to live a sustainable life and they want to be kind to Mother Earth, but how, right? The question is, they don't know where to start. They don't know how what they can do given their limited resources, limited time that they have. A lot of people shop for, fast fashion because it's there, it's available, and it's something that they can easily get without spending too much time, doing research, and it's cheap and it's, size inclusive. So all of that, I think, is something that we are working against, something we're trying to educate the public about day in and day out. And I see that, as an opportunity for us, to be honest, as well, because I think there's really not that many reliable sources for information regarding sustainability. And as a result of that, people are really prone to, being greenwashed, right? Like believing brand greenwashing. And so, yeah, so I think at the same time, it's a challenge, but it's an opportunity.
I love it that you said it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. If all of us can just, change our perspective towards, healing the planet and helping save the environment, then we can all see an opportunity in how to help, right? Because I am sure that, because for me, with my opinion, of course, I am a former beauty queen and I'm also in the fashion industry. However, yeah, just like you, Jesse, I don't make dresses and gowns or whatsoever. But when you are with like-minded people, like everyone here who's empowered, it's like, of course, you have that awareness already, and of course you want to start something small, right? And
Mhm.
starting off with that is that our mindset, our perspective on things, how do we want to help, right? So we all have a part in it. So it's not like, oh, that's your part or just do it, but in our own little way. We have our social media platforms, we have our own voice, right, to share what little knowledge that we have. And then from there, that's why we have these meet and greet or these discussions about um, circular fashion, is so that we can help each other and also encourage one another that, hey, you're doing a great job, right?
Yeah, I wanted to add to that, Abby, because like people think that sustainability is such a like a huge thing. Like I don't really care about that. So people don't realize that they're already doing they already have adopted sustainable practices by just making sure that they're using their, let's say, their clothes for the longest time. So in that way you're already helping Mother Earth. So it's not about like, oh, like I have to buy. Obviously it's a good thing to buy the um like, for example, clothes from Rio Tasso, or the clothes that Kalay Kalay is
It's
designing. So yes,
designing.
yeah, so that's the just the simple things. You could make changes in your be your way of being consumer. So yeah.
Right. That's right, Cha. I agree with you perfectly. But before I because we have another topic, and but before that, I'm just curious, how did you guys start with like with Jesse basically borrowed? How did you start with it with Rio, with Kalai? What was the turning point for you guys? Why you all started what you are doing right now? I'm very much curious about it. And I'm sure everyone else wants to know as well. Kalai, do you want to share?
Yeah. Um, the inspiration came actually when I was in law school and we were studying environmental law. So that's when it hit me that what Chaz said, that we're on a deadline. So I was thinking, what do I have in me and what is my passion? And how can I mix that together to be able to do something for my environment, our environment? So it wasn't law school for me. And the fate had it that fashion was in my heart. And it was actually the first major pollutant of the planet. So I'm not sure if I'm getting to my point, but it's like fate that uh I was an environmentalist, and then I also love fashion, and I'm creative. So it was a beautiful challenge for me to be able to think of ways to help the two things that I love, Mother Earth and clothing and making clothes. So that's the turning point for me when I thought, what could I do? So there.
Wow, that's great. It's like a collab of your love, passion, and Mother Nature. Amazing. How about Jessie?
Oh,
How did it started?
so I guess there's a couple of turning points for me. When I first started Basically Borrowed, it was actually a personal need. So basically, Bar, when we first started, it was kind of we were buying and selling pre-loved clothing. So it was more like a buy and sell, like a marketplace for pre-loved clothing. We're the curator, and we sort of like style them nicely. And so I think why I started it in the first iteration was because of a personal need. So I relocated here with my family in 4.5 years ago. So feels like a long time ago. And so I sort of had this major change in my lifestyle and in my career as well. So I feel like I needed I had different needs. I had much less need for all of my wardrobe from before. So it was a personal need, and I was I was wishing that somebody I could share this with someone, or I could mostly share this with someone. And so I couldn't find like a similar service on the market back then. So I started basically Borrowed as sort of a combination between Rent the Runway and the Real, but on a very mini scale for Manila, actually. And I think the pandemic really made us change the business model, and it made me realize that this is an opportunity to start something bigger than a buy and sell marketplace, than the e-commerce shop. So I felt like sort of found my calling as well, as a former journalist, to be involved in content and to be a media platform that sort of gives people the necessary information that they need to live more sustainably. And I feel like that is something that the public really needs. And we were also just happened to be gaining more traction on social media during the pandemic years. So it all worked out pretty okay so far.
I'm glad that it did.
Yeah.
Great. That's great to know, Jessie. Thank you. How about for Rio?
I guess the turning point for me was really, I was very excited to get into college for fashion design. And when I was there, it wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be when you actually learn the negative impacts of fashion to our world, which is shocking because, before college, you're so excited and you don't know any of this. And that just when you're there, and as a student alone in the 4 years that I took up fashion design, I accumulated so much waste as one person. And that was making clothes that were just projects. Those weren't even wearable proper clothes. They're just projects. And with that came a lot of fabric waste. And I think the turning point was I had to stop and question if this was the amount of waste I was producing as a student alone, how much more fabric waste does the current fashion industry actually produce? And that's when it hit me, and I went into the spiral of research, and just, oh wow, social media is so good at hiding a lot of things. And so when I graduated, I got my first magazine cover in 2017. It was a surprise kind of thing, but I wasn't happy about it because of all the waste. And so I decided to stop. I stopped for an entire year. I worked elsewhere. I tried corporate. I did other things aside from fashion. And then after a whole year of trying to, personally live a slower lifestyle myself, and, trying out other things, I went back to my room, still filled with fabric scraps from college. And I just sorted them and started piecing them together, still keeping in mind, quality, fabric, trying to figure out how to make things from fabric scraps. And I think that was when Rio Tasso started, was when I started piecing it together, and I realized that I could create from the waste instead of creating more waste. So yeah.
Wow, that's such a great turning point for you, Rio. Such an eye opener. All right.
Yeah.
So now let's move on to our next topic, which is reimagining the future. So, what is the role of the fashion industry in healing the planet? I mean, all of us um, we have a future in mind. You know, we're thinking of a lot of things. How's our family gonna be like? You know, what's going to happen? I mean, sometimes it overwhelms us, right? But for you guys, what is your wish list for the fashion industry? You know, what do you wish for it to change? How do you wish for it to change? Or, like, what is that in your heart that you wish? Oh, I hope that this will happen sooner or later.
I think to answer that, I as a consumer,
Hmm.
my wish list would include a way for us to be able to donate our clothes that we don't need in our closet, so others can use it and redesign it. Like it's a way to kind of collectively, it's like a pool, or like anything where you can donate your clothes, and for also the designers to make use of it, the people who are in the fashion designer industry. So in that way we are collecting these clothes as resources, and in a way adopting circular fashion.
Wow, that's great. That's great to know, Cha. Thank you. How
For
about for Kalai?
me, is like my hope for the future is for more technological advances and the process of the manufacturing also to advance, and for more corporate fashion brands to be open about it. So that's my hope for the future of fashion.
Wow, I agree. Yeah, it starts with just being open to it, right? And just really taking in suggestions
Yeah.
or whatever it is, all for the environment.
Especially for the process as well of manufacturing, the way they take care of their employees, being open about the process, and who are making your clothes. They have to make that known to the consumer. So I'm just happy that some of the brands and businesses that are present now are demanding workers, especially in Indonesia and in China, to take care of their employees. So that's my hope. Another hope that the workers be taken care of.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I highly agree with Kala as well, because you know we don't necessarily understand the urgency as what I've spoken about, in terms of people who are in the business industry,
Mm.
because obviously they're thinking about, oh, what's my bottom line, like am I making profit out of it? But if we as consumers demand that we want sustainable products, that means that it's going to the shift, the emphasis, the spotlight goes to those the products that are making like made out of like the used clothing, like the Rio Tasso brand. And so that's when you can lower the price of the products, right? Because people tend to want to
There's a
view that, oh,
demand.
when you buy products that are sustainable, it's more expensive than you know the ordinary, than the regular ones. So um we need to educate, not just it has to be a collective effort from the businesses, part of the businesses, the corporate world, and also the fashion industry and the general public, as well as the government. So that's my another wish is for us to collectively heal the planet.
Wow, that's awesome, Cha. Thank you. How about for Rio?
Oh, very, very ambitious. But if one day there's no more fabric waste for me to work with, I would be super happy. But that would mean that I agree, technological advances, if there are a lot of ways, it just takes a lot of effort and we can do it. There are a lot of ways to do zero waste patterns, zero waste cutting in terms of, on the production side of fashion, but we need to start doing it. And the big brands actually have the power to start doing this. And I agree with Charlene when she mentioned, as a consumer, I would always say, as a consumer, you have the buying power. You're the one who's eventually going to spend your money on something. Therefore, you have the power and the right to ask questions. Who made this? Where was it made? How was it made? Because you will be spending your money on it. And in I guess an idealistic hope for me would be transparency in the fashion industry, because it starts there. And I think that, um, along with that, with transparency, and if we ask brands for transparency, then they are either going to change their ways. So because then now they have to show how they do things. And I hope with that they actually do things the right way. There's that. And another thing would be, aside from sustainability, would really be ethics. So ethical fashion is very important, because as someone who not only does the business side of Rio Tasso, I also am the one who sews everything. And sewing is very, very hard. It is a skilled trade, and we need to share that with the world, because our skilled tailors and seamstresses deserve a fair living wage. So that's my hope for the fashion industry and the fashion. Yeah.
Wow, I love it. Thanks for that, Rio. I agree. Transparency. We're all going to barge in a clothing stores and ask.
Yes.
Yeah,
Ask all
yeah. Actually, I have a friend, yeah, who's working with the Fundación de Chile, and they actually created an app. It traces the from the production, from where you're sourcing the materials until it gets to the consumer level. So if that is highlighted the way we are trying to discuss right now, it's really, it's essential for everyone to know that there are things that we can do, and that there are ideas out in the world that people might want to adopt in their own communities. So that's a good thing about this discussion. We share our ideas. We collectively heal the planet through our discussions. Yeah.
That's right, Cha. And I think one thing about it is that if it's happening in other parts of the world, here or wherever we are right now, I think it's doable as long as we have that collective effort to do
I know,
something.
I know, and obviously people have to make a living out of it, and if you don't pay your workers with whatever is considered as a fair wage in your community, in the area, then that effectively means that you're kind of like over, like you're using your power over those workers, because you're obviously the one paying them, and they don't have they don't have the power to kind of demand, and that's tyranny in a way, right? And we talk about tyranny or like colonization or whatever, but we ourselves, when we establish our businesses, we think that, oh, I wanted to cut costs, I don't want to pay the fair wage for these people. So we have to change how we think, we have to think about the standards, fair wages, standards for fair wages, and understand that people need to live, people need to provide for their families too.
I perfectly agree with you, Chuck. Thanks for that. How about Jessie?
Sorry. I'll go really quickly because I feel like you guys pretty much covered everything in terms of the wish list. I guess I just wanted to add on, I guess, a point about circular business models rather than linear ones. So I really hope that in the future, more circular business models like resale, renting, um, upcycling, recycling, etc., can be more of the mainstream and more of the norm, among the general public. And I hope that, and I do think that um, perhaps the change is going to it's going to be started by the general public and, the consumers. And, they do have all the power with their money, with where they spend their money. So if they decide to be more environmentally conscious, if they decide to spend money on ethical brands, if they decide to care about all these transparency issues, I think the brands will follow because they always follow where the money is.
Perfectly agree with you, Jessie. And we all do have a voice in this, and so we are doing every little thing that we can collectively. And you know what, this discussion has opened a lot of eyes, a lot of ears as well. And thank you so much, ladies, for your time in sharing and in discussing circular fashion and in helping heal the planet. I know this time is really short to be discussing it and to just be sharing about it, but I learned a lot of things today. And of course, I know that we all have the power to change things one step at a time. And by knowing who to who to follow or who to call, or to support, and having this kind of group, this kind of organization as well, we are all giving out ways on how to help our planet. And even if you're just an individual, voicing it out and just really practicing it on our own way, right, helps a lot. So thank you so much for your time and for your effort. I do hope that this will not end here. And in our own way, our social media, we are all going to be able to um, encourage and to inspire other people in spite of what challenges we are all facing. And again, thank you so much. Really grateful for all the things that we have discussed here. Do you guys want to add anything else?
Nice. I think just one more thing for me, because I care deeper with um for consumers. If you would like to, if any consumers are listening here, of course there must be. If you would like your brands, your favorite big brands to listen to you, look at the label. Look at the label. So try to buy things that are 100% natural. Doesn't necessarily have to be organic, but 100% natural, because 100% natural is easier to recycle than blended fabrics. So if you see your clothing with blended polyester, blended nylon, or anything, it is very, very important for consumers to look at the label and see what the consumption of your fabric is. And number two, for any fashion designers or anybody in fashion that is listening right now, you have the power, you have the biggest power to change wherever you are right now, whether you are in corporate or whether you are in your private practice as a fashion designer. You have in your hands the ability to meet the deadline for for Mother Earth. You can you can push your bosses. You don't have to lower down your principles or your standards as a fashion designer just to meet costs, because they will listen to you. You will just have to say this is the trend and they will follow. And honestly, most of the young kids right now and young millennials are following sustainable fashion. So it really is a trend. So you as a fashion designer have has a strong hand to change and meet the deadline for Mother Earth. So help Mother Earth. That's it.
Wow, that's amazing, Kalai. Thank you so much for that. And I do hope that you guys out there, you can again act in your own way. If you don't know how, you can reach out to the ladies in here. And we have Rio Tasso, we have Basically Borrowed, we have Kalai. That's why we are all here. Yes, and of course, if you can post the link, right? You can just share it away. Okay, so there you go. So please do follow riotasso.com. And of course, you can also follow Jesse or at Basically Borrowed in Instagram. There you go. So that if you need help or how to start or everything, then you can just reach out to our wonderful ladies here. Okay, thank you so much for that. That was such a wonderful and powerful discussion right there. It's short but sweet and really impactful. And also, of course, Kalai. Yes, please do follow at Kalai's Doodles if you want to reach out to each one. Yes, thank you, thank you. Yes,
Thank you
I
to
like
Miss
that.
Lee and Miss Marley for having us here and giving us a chance and giving us the avenue to reach consumers and other people for sustainable fashion. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. This needs
For
a
having
part
us.
two. We need to talk. We need the conversation to keep
Yes.
going.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. We just have to highlight the event and thank you so much for all the things that you do. Your passion is really um encouraging and very influential to us. So please keep on doing what you are doing, and we shall just follow suit. Part two, definitely. Like Burley said.
Before we end the discussion, we wanted to plug in our giving.
Yes.
Yeah. So Giving for Good, our theme for this year is healing our home, our shared calling. Yes, it is our shared calling, definitely. So GFG aims to promote environmental healing by encouraging sustainable practices in our own lives. So how do you get involved? So we kicked off our Giving for Good auction last July 17th, and then it caps off on the 31st. So you could either bid online, or if you happen to be in New York, you can just go to New Yorker Hotel and bid in person. That's gonna be July 30th to July 31st. And then before the in-person auction, we have our virtual event fundraiser. All proceeds goes to the environmental projects that GFG is currently sponsoring, and we're planning to expand as well to new projects. So that's going to be July 29th for the virtual event. Moving next is our calendar for the July. Oh, I guess so. Anyway, so the next event after this will be next week. That's July 29th. So don't forget to register. We're gonna update our social media accounts with the registration link. And yeah, that's it. We'll see you on our next event.
Great. Thank you so much for that, chat. I hope yet you guys can follow the Instagram of Giving for Good. Is that right, chat?
Yes,
And
Giving for Good and the WFWPI.
there you go. Yes, I hope that you can also share it in your social media or even in Instagram stories so that it's going to be known by your followers as well. So, do we have any questions while the ladies are still here? If you guys have any questions, let us
Well,
know.
let's see. Maybe someone from the participants, anyone inspired to ask questions while our brilliant fashion designers, beauty queens, and social media influencers, journalists, such powerful group of people here. Because for me, I'm really inspired. I mean, it gives me so much hope. Oh my gosh. You know, I thought that, oh, wow, I'm alone. But no, I'm not. You're here. So I am just inspired. Thank you.
Yes, you're not alone, Miss Merly. We're all here.
Beautiful.
Okay, Miss Merle, I think we don't have any more questions. But if you guys have questions, if anyone has questions, you can just reach out to Rio Tasso at Basically Borrowed at Kalaisky Doodles. Please don't hesitate to reach out to each one of them and just really if you just want to converse with somebody who's really practicing it, then this is a safe space for all of us. So yeah.
Thank you, Miss Abby. You did fantastic.
Thank you
Wow.
so much, Miss
Thank you.
Merly, as well. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Kalai. Thank you, Rio. Thank you, Jessie.
Thank
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 you.
you.
Really
Thank you,
learned a lot
everyone.
today.
Looking forward to part two.
Yes. Let us all
Bye.
honor nature.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.